Welcome to Leesburg's Parks and Recreation Show. I'm your host, Claudia Verga. Today we'll talk with Marcus Nyblack, City of Leesburg's athletic supervisor, about our great Pop Warner and flag football programs. Welcome, Marcus.
Thank you.
So today we're going to talk about flag football. When does it start?
Flag football registration takes place April 1st, and it'll go all the way through May 13th. And the actual program will start practicing the following week, and they will practice all the way up through June 1st, and we'll start playing games.
Okay, so when do you do the draft after practices, or do you do the draft before practice?
We'll do the draft the week of May 13th.
The week of May 13th?
Yes.
And is that like one specific even for all age groups? Or?
Yes, it'll be the younger age group will come out at 6 o'clock, and the older age group at 6:30. We'll do the team placement in the draft, and then they'll start practicing, and they'll practice for about 2 to 3 weeks, all the way up until June, and then we'll start playing games.
So for those people who don't know, this might be their first time coming to a flag football draft. What does that actually look like? What happens at a draft?
It's kind of, we try to simulate something similar to like the NFL Combine, where the kids get to run through some cones, throw the ball a little bit, catch the ball a little bit, just show their basic abilities as they are right now, to put something fun together for them, and as well as for the coaches to see when they're picking the kids, you know, who may be a little faster, who may catch a little better, who may throw a little better. It's just something to try to give kids the experience of what it would be like at the next level of sports.
Okay, so all the coaches are standing around and they're kind of keeping notes on the kids as they're performing their tasks?
Yes, they are. They're rating them from 1, 2, 3 to 4, just trying to remember who's who, so when they do go in the draft room, they remember who the kids are, you know, which kid it was, you know, their age, different information about each individual child.
Okay. And what is the age group?
The first age group is from 7 to 9, and that age group is called juniors. And then the next age group is 10 to 12, and that's our hot shot.
Okay. Now you mentioned practices. How often do they have to practice?
Twice a week.
Twice a week?
Practices are twice a week. It's either a Monday, Wednesday, or a Tuesday, Thursday type deal for the groups, depending on how many teams we get. It's going to determine how many days that they practice, or if everybody's going to be on the same 2 days, but it's going to be 2 days a week that they're going to practice.
Okay, and is it an hour, or how long does practice usually last?
Practice is usually an hour to an hour and a half.
Okay.
For flag.
And before games actually start, how many weeks of practice are there?
2 to 3 weeks of practice before games start.
And then how many games, is that depending upon how many teams you have?
Yes, the games are going to depend on exactly how many teams we have in each age group, which is going to determine. It usually is based around each team playing each other twice, which gives you, you know, somewhere in the range of 10 to 15 games.
Okay. My son's never played flag football.
Mm-hmm.
And is this something that he can do?
Yes, it's a very instructional program. It's also a very recreational program, which means it's open to everybody. First comers, you know, experienced players, everybody. It's not a tackle sport, so the weight and the dangerous parts of it are really not a factor. So it's basically a fun sport for every age group, and as well as whether you're more experienced or less experienced. It's a great program.
Right. Now, as a mom, when my son first played flag football, I didn't know what flag football was. And I freaked out because I'm like, I don't want nobody tackling him. But they actually literally wear a belt with flags on it.
Yes. There's basically 2 flags, one on one side, one on the other side. And they kind of hang and blow in the wind as the kids run. And the responsible part of the defense is to pull one of the flags off of the belt, which stops the play. Okay.
So it's the safe version of tackling?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Can't they play that all the way up through high school?
There actually is. Our flag league and our rules are kind of associated with the NFL Youth Flag Football League. So flag football is actually available all the way up to adults. I mean, there's there's flag football programs for adults as well as little kids. So they could actually play flag football all the way up through college and into the pros. There's actually a pro flag football league.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yes, there is.
I was joking about it when we first started this conversation. So how do they actually learn to play the rules of the game that you're talking about?
A lot of the coaches are prepped on the rules before practices start. So basically when they're teaching the kids the different things that they're going to be doing when they're playing the game, they're also incorporating the rules of the game as well as that. There's different rules. Just, for example, there's a no spin rule for the person who's running with the ball. Well, because the coaches know that rule, when they're teaching their runners, when they're running with the ball, they teach them, hey, you can't spin and you can't do certain things and you can't flag guard. So the kids learn the game, the rules, and have fun all at the same time.
Yeah. Well, you made reference to national programs that we run it similar to national programs. How do we compare to other youth flag leagues in the area?
Our flag program is more of a beginner's program. We're trying to grow to be able to affiliate ourselves with the national flag football program so we can say, hey, we have X amount of kids participating in X amount of teams to give us that national recognition. But right now we're kind of in like a beginning phase. We've been around for a year or two, but we haven't gotten big enough yet. So hopefully this year we can get to that level where maybe the winning team from our program can move on into the next level of flag football.
That'd be exciting.
It would be wonderful.
Yeah. What's the cost for this program?
Flag football is $35 for city utility users and taxpayers, and then it's an additional $15 fee for anybody that's outside of the city of Leesburg.
And what else do a member, team prospective player need to bring to be prepared for this?
Flag football, one of the main requirements is we try to get everybody to provide cleats for their kids, because it's kind of hard to compete without the cleats on grass because you're going to slip, you're going to slide. So the cleats are really the only thing, and then just a comfortable undershirt to go under the jersey and comfortable shorts to participate in, or jogging pants, whatever you feel comfortable with. But the cleats would be one of my big things that it would be great for parents, because it gives them the same traction as everybody else, because it's more of a quick or a movement sport, and with the cleats it gives you that grip on the grass to be able to cut and move faster like the other kids.
Yeah, so it would also help with safety.
Yes,
personal safety.
Yeah, exactly. They wouldn't be sliding around and slipping and lose their balance. It's harder to do that with the cleats on.
Okay. And now you had mentioned the coaches teaching them, the rules of the game. Where do you get the coaches from?
All of our coaches are volunteers. Yes, most of our coaches come from dads who have kids participating in the program, but we also have a lot of our Pop Warner coaches who are interested in football that like to come out and coach flag football as well. Most of our coaches are dads or just volunteers from the community that like working with the kids.
And how do they become volunteers if somebody was interested right now?
The requirement for our volunteers is to go to our HR department or come by the recreation gym and pick up a volunteer application. Fill it out, submit the volunteer application, which is followed by a background check of that particular person, and then we determine which age group or which team they're interested in coaching. All of our volunteers are background screened very well.
Okay. So is that the same place that they would register?
Yes.
And where is that exactly?
The gymnasium, which is the recreation department at 1851 Griffin Road.
Okay. Now, when my son was playing flag football, we had sponsors who sponsored the team, and we wore shirts with that sponsor's name on it.
Yes.
How do you get sponsors?
We advertise it the same way we advertise for the program, and we look for businesses to come in and actually sponsor. For instance, one of our teams may be the Cowboys. If you are a business, I think one of our big sponsors right now that sponsors some of our other youth programs, just say Ramshackle, for example, it would be the Ramshackle Cowboys, or it would be the Kids of Distinction Falcons, and they're simulated off of the NFL pro teams.
And how much does it cost to become a sponsor?
Sponsor for flag football is $150 per team.
Per team.
Yes.
And is it a tax deduction for businesses?
Oh yes, always. Any donations to our program or our sponsors to our program is a tax write-off. for those businesses.
So they can help improve the quality of our children's activities,
Yes.
and get a tax write-off for their business, and get advertisement
Yes, all
for
at the same time.
$150.
All at the same time.
What a bargain. Now, you had mentioned that some of your coaches come from Pop Warner.
Yes.
What's the difference between flag football and Pop Warner?
The difference between flag football and Pop Warner is basically the travel and the physical tackle. Pop Warner is a actual tackle sport, and flag football is more of a grab the flag sport.
Okay, and Pop Warner starts when?
Pop Warner registration starts April 1st, and it goes all the way up through May 31st.
Okay. And how is there, like, how do you pick the Pop Warner teams?
Pop Warner teams are, the way we have our Pop Warner program set up, there's a potential 35 kids per team. We open registration from April 1st to May 1st for returning players. On May 1st, anybody that's interested in getting in for the first time can start registering. And we just register all the way up until we fill up, and that's 35 kids per team.
So it's a first come, first served basis.
Yes. After the returning registration's over.
Okay. So if you're returning registration, you have an opportunity to
register first to get back
first.
in, yes.
Okay. And do you, is there a grade requirement?
The Pop Warner program has a academic standard that they've implemented. It's one of the only programs that I'm involved in that have the academic standing where it's kind of like being in high school or college. Kids have to maintain a certain GPA in school to be eligible to go on the field. They can play, but if their grades are at a certain point or too low or not high enough, they would have to sit out just like they would in any other sport anywhere else from high school and up, or middle school sports all the way up.
So it encourages them to keep those grades up if they really want to play.
Yes, it gives us, our Pop Warner program has become one of the more popular programs for the teachers in elementary school as well as middle school, because during Pop Warner season, a lot of the kids that they may have that may be having some academic problems are involved in this program. So teachers can come out, communicate with coaches, talk to parents while they're there about their kids' grades, and we kind of all work together to help those kids maintain a certain grade point average. So it's one of the highlights of our Pop Warner program.
I would have to agree. That's really amazing. Pop Warner fees.
The Leesburg Junior Jacket Pop Warner fee is probably the lowest. At one point, we were definitely the lowest in Central Florida. I still think we are at the bottom. I think Pop Warner fees range from anywhere $100 up to $500. Our Pop Warner registration for this year, 2013, is going to be $100, which is still the lowest compared to everywhere else in the area.
Okay. And how long does Pop Warner run?
Pop Warner program, the registration starts in April, and then the actual first official Pop Warner practice starts August 1st. So between April 1st and December, our Pop Warner program will be going strong.
Okay, so they register in April, but they're not starting to practice until August.
August, and then from August to December, we'll be either playing regular season games or potential playoff and Super Bowl games.
And this is a travel league?
Yes. The way the Pop Warner program is set up, we have 5 home games, which are here in Leesburg, and then we'll have 5 away games that'll be outside of the city of Leesburg.
And how far would we go?
The farthest that we go is usually Orlando.
Orlando?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you get them there?
The good part about Pop Warner, it brings the volunteers together, but a lot of the parents participate in the travel and transporting their kids to these Pop Warner games. We've been having a lot of success with that. The parents are there. It kind of forces the parents to be there to support their kid and on the travel situation. So a lot of our kids are transported through their parents and other volunteer family members or coaches.
Okay. Well, every football team has to have a cheerleader.
Yes.
So Pop Warner has a cheerleading program.
Yes, yes.
Let's talk about that.
I must say we have one of the better Pop Warner cheerleading programs. I got to say that for my cheerleaders. I love those guys. We have one of the hardest working cheerleader coordinators in the area. She's one of my biggest volunteers, not with just football or cheer, with every sport that I participate or I actually run, she's involved. So our cheerleading program is huge.
And what's the age group for cheerleaders?
Cheerleaders' ages are similar to the boys' football players. It's from age 5 all the way up to age 15.
And is registration the same time as the registration for football?
Yes, the only difference in the registration for the cheerleaders is we don't have a returning registration time. As soon as we open it for cheerleaders, April 1st, anyone that wants to cheer can sign up.
And is it limited? Is there limited spaces for cheerleading?
Yes, they also have a max of at least 35 cheerleaders per squad.
Okay, and the age group is the same?
Yes, the age groups are similar to the boys. They compare the cheerleading age groups to the teams, so the cheerleaders are the same age and as the boys football team, which kind of makes it look, great. And they get to cheer with their peers and their classmates.
And do they have practices as well?
Yes, the cheerleading practice is basically the same time as football. It's in the same location, it's just at different points of the facility is where they practice. There's an area that's designated for the cheerleaders to practice as well as one for the football players to practice.
And what about skill set? Do they have to be gymnasts? Do they have to have experience?
No. Cheerleaders, we welcome anyone that's interested in cheering. We got great coaches. We got great head coaches as well as great assistant coaches. And most of our assistant coaches are either current high school cheerleaders or middle school cheerleaders that have cheered before, or even some out of college cheerleaders that come out and work with the girls. So they do a lot of teaching in that program. So no, there's no requirements for experience at all.
Okay. Now, is there an additional program for dance in Pop Warner?
There is. We haven't tapped into that yet, but we are looking at it, and that would force us to run that program year round. So we are looking at the dance part of the cheerleading program for Pop Warner.
And what is that? What will that program look like?
It would be similar to the cheerleading, but the routines will be different, and the uniforms that we provide for them will be different. There'll be more dance-oriented group routines as opposed to outside on the football field cheering.
So the uniforms are included in the registration fee?
Yes, for the cheerleaders, the uniforms are included. They have they have two different fees. The registration for the cheerleader is $70, but they also pay an additional $50, which requires their equipment, their uniform, their shoes, and all those different things.
Okay. And do they compete?
Yes. Our cheerleaders competition is similar to the boys football. Top teams get a chance to, and that's from the Titan Mites to Mighty Mites are not competition teams, but every team above that, they get to go out and compete in the regionals, the local, the district, and then with a chance of winning the national Pop Warner cheerleading competition.
National. So is that televised?
Yes, every year.
Really?
Very huge, very huge, very huge.
And where was that again?
National cheerleading competition for the past couple of years has been at Disney.
At Disney?
Yes.
So they get to go to Disney,
yes,
compete, and
yes,
be on TV.
And spend the entire week of competition on Disney property.
It's a whole week long?
Yes.
Wow.
Very, very huge activity.
So
very
how many
huge.
teams are competing in that?
There's usually teams from all over the world that compete at the Disney Nationals because it's the national site. So you have, I want to say there's almost 50 states that have Pop Warner programs, as well as some international countries that have Pop Warner programs, and when they compete, they all come to Disney at one time and they can all compete at the same time.
And then afterwards, do they have a banquet, or is that before?
The banquet that they offer is for the Scholastics, which is usually after or right around the same time as the competition. That's where they recognize all of your awards with kids with good grades, the athletic scholars, special achievers, anything where someone has done something above and beyond, and they recognize the kids. The last year we were very fortunate to have, if I'm guessing right, we had at least 5 academic scholars last year for Pop Warner.
Okay, 5.
Yes, which is huge because those kids are in a category where their names are tossed into a competition where they could possibly win scholarships for college.
Yeah, and considering how many people are participating in this,
that
that
was
5
huge.
is a huge number.
Very
That's a great
huge,
ratio.
Very huge. That means that young person maintained a straight A grade point average throughout the entire program.
Now, at the cheerleading level, are those teams picked?
Our cheerleading program is just like our football program. They sign up
free.
the same way, and it's open until we fill up.
Okay. Any safety issues when training for cheerleading or Pop Warner?
Well, we have, Pop Warner has very strict guidelines to certain things that you can and cannot do. All of our volunteers who coach are classroom trained and background screened to provide the safest environment possible for these young people. We've been very blessed to not have serious injuries, but we got great coaches that make sure everything they do is based around the safety of the kids. And our program is ran in a very safe environment.
Now, what kind of safety equipment do they wear? Because in flag football, they don't wear much but cleats, but in regular football, they're tackling. I'm assuming they're wearing some kind of gear.
Yes, in Pop Warner, we provide helmets, shoulder pads, girdles, which is the under padding for their game pants, as well as the thigh, knee, and butt pad for the football pants and socks.
As you can tell, I'm probably one of the more paranoid mommies. What are the statistics for getting hurt?
Ours is very low because Pop Warner has a weight matrix, is what they call it. And the weight matrix is set up to, by age, grade, and weight, determines where your kid plays. So everybody that's on a tight end mite team are going to either be the same age, the same weight, same height, same level of experience, which keeps the kids safe. And it's all the way up that way, all the way up through the midgets. And we have a real great insurance program that Pop Warner provides for us that we are part of every year. So it's a very safe program for anybody to put their kid in for the first time.
Okay, and you mentioned the insurance because accidents can happen, and you said it's reasonable.
Yes.
Is there a certain fee, a set fee, or?
Well, our organization, being part of Leesburg Recreation and Parks Department, the city of Leesburg pays a insurance fee to Pop Warner Insurance every year to be covered through Pop Warner. The benefit to participating in Pop Warner in Leesburg is you're also, once you sign up with the city of Leesburg, you're also covered through the city of Leesburg as well. So we're in a great space when it comes to the insurance for our program.
Fantastic. Again, the coaches, are they volunteers?
Yes, all of our coaches are volunteers, all of them.
And do you need any other additional coaches to make this league run?
Always. With Pop Warner, we look more so for people who have been with us for a while to be head coaches, but we're always looking for team moms. We're always looking for people to help on the sideline or additional assistant coaches or bench personnel. We're always looking for additional coaches, always.
And what do team moms do?
A team mom is basically almost a lot of our head coaches call a team mom the secretary. She's basically responsible for dealing with the parents, making sure the kids get all the information to their parents that they need to know on times of where, when, and what, and different activities that we have going on. With Pop Warner, every coach, every team is required to maintain a book that has insurance, physical forms, birth certificates, all insurance, all types of information about each and every kid. So if something happens, immediately we have that information on hand to provide to whoever. So team moms are a lot of times responsible for making sure that book has all the information it's supposed to have in it.
And there's no training to be a team mom other than you're told what you need to do, right?
Well, there's actually a class for team moms.
Oh,
they
really?
actually go through a training on how to do that book, how to communicate. Everything in Pop Warner as a volunteer has a training class. Everything. Pop Warner is great about making sure all of your volunteers are trained on how to do their jobs.
And similar to the flag program that we talked about earlier, are the background checks done on Pop Warner?
Yes. Luckily for us, we do background checks through Pop Warner as well as through the city of Leesburg. So all of our volunteer coaches are background checked twice. One through the city of Leesburg, which requirements are different, as well as through Pop Warner.
Okay. And team moms are background checked too?
Yes. Yes.
That just
it's strange, but it's to keep our kids safe, and it just makes for a better program.
It sounds like we're going to have another successful program this year.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thanks for being here today with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's always great to have you, Marcus. And we will see you next time for Leesburg's Parks and Recreation Show.